Once upon a time, in a small town nestled in the countryside, there lived a curious boy named Oliver. Oliver had always been fascinated by the United States, a land of endless possibilities and adventure. He had heard stories about the bustling cities, natural wonders, and iconic landmarks from his grandfather, who had once traveled across the country. But Oliver had never set foot outside his quiet town. One night, as he drifted off to sleep, an extraordinary dream began. He found himself standing on the edge of his bed, and before he knew it, he was hurtling through the night sky like a shooting star. The sensation of falling was both thrilling and terrifying. He closed his eyes, and when he opened them again, he was in a new city. Oliver marveled at the dreamlike New York City made entirely of beds. The cityscape stretched out in all directions, with skyscrapers that seemed to touch the sky, adorned with silk curtains that billowed in the gentle breeze. The streets were a soft sea of pillows, and the lampposts were giant feather dusters that illuminated the way. As he wandered through the city, he couldn't help but smile at the whimsical scenes around him. Couples snuggled on enormous duvets, sharing laughter and stories. Children played hopscotch on quilted sidewalks, their giggles filling the air like a sweet melody. Feeling adventurous, Oliver approached a park made entirely of plush grass. There, he spotted a chessboard as large as a football field, with pieces the size of cars. A friendly, talking teddy bear challenged him to a game. Oliver accepted, and as they moved the massive chess pieces, the bear shared tales of grand adventures he'd had in this dreamy city. After the game, Oliver's curiosity led him to a cotton candy roller coaster that spiraled and looped high above the skyscrapers. He hopped on, feeling the sugary sweetness of the ride as he soared through the cotton candy clouds. The wind tousled his hair as he let out exhilarated cheers. But just as he was about to reach the peak of his joy, the dream shifted once more. Oliver's heart raced as he felt the sensation of falling once more. This time, he found himself surrounded by mist and the distant roar of water. He blinked and suddenly landed on the edge of a magnificent waterfall in Yosemite National Park. The waterfall was unlike any other he'd ever seen. It was a stunning display of nature's beauty, with water that sparkled like liquid diamonds as it descended gracefully into a giant, fluffy marshmallow pool below. Without hesitation, Oliver jumped into the waterfall. He expected to plunge into the water, but instead, he found himself floating on the air currents created by the cascading water. It was as if he were riding on the back of a gentle giant. He laughed with sheer delight as he explored this magical world. The mist turned into cotton candy clouds, and the marshmallow pool transformed into a playful sea of bubbles. He rode rapids made of rainbow-colored slushies and slid down chocolate-covered water slides that wound around the waterfall's edges. As he soared through the air, he felt a sense of freedom and joy like never before. It was a place where worries and fears were washed away, and he could be truly himself. But as with every dream, the time came for another adventure, and Oliver felt himself gently lifting off once more. Next, Oliver found himself in a deep, dark pit but it was unlike any pit he had ever seen. Instead of despair, it was filled with the most peculiar and delightful surprises. The walls of the pit were made of giant, glowing crystal. These crystals seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy, casting a soft, iridescent glow on everything around. As Oliver ventured further into the pit, he noticed that the air was filled with a sweet, melodious tune that seemed to emanate from the very stones themselves. He followed the music and discovered a gathering of friendly creatures, each one more enchanting than the last. These beings were made of stardust and moonbeams, their translucent bodies shimmering with every graceful movement. The creatures welcomed Oliver with open arms, or rather, open arms made of shimmering light. They introduced themselves as the Luminae, guardians of this mystical pit. With their radiant voices, they sang sweet melodies that resonated through Oliver's very soul. The songs were about dreams, hope, and the boundless possibilities that life held. Oliver couldn't resist the urge to join in the dance. He twirled and swirled among the Luminae, his every movement accompanied by a trail of sparkling stardust. In this magical place, he felt completely at home, as if he had always belonged among these ethereal beings. Time seemed to have lost its grip in the pit. It flowed differently here, bending to the whims of dreams and wonder. Oliver laughed and danced for what felt like both moments and eternity. But just as he started to think about his journey home, he felt himself gently rising once more. The Luminae waved their shimmering arms in farewell, promising that their pit of wonders would always be a part of him, no matter where his dreams might take him next. As Oliver ascended from the pit, he couldn't help but carry the warmth, joy, and hope he had found there with him. The experience had changed him in profound ways, and he knew that he was ready to face whatever adventures lay ahead in the United States and beyond. Oliver woke up with a sense of wonder and excitement that he had never experienced before. It had all been a dream, but it felt so real. He realized that the world was full of endless possibilities and adventures waiting to be discovered. Inspired by his dream, Oliver set out on a quest to explore the world, starting with the United States. He knew that even though he couldn't fall from a bed, waterfall, or pit in reality, he could still experience the magic of travel and the thrill of new adventures. As he embarked on his journey, Oliver carried the lessons from his dream with him, always open to the crazy and hopeful possibilities that awaited in the world beyond his small town. And so, with a heart full of dreams and a spirit filled with hope, Oliver set off to make his own extraordinary adventures come true, one city at a time.